guys, my name is Rachel Ralston and welcome back to my channel, The Painted Zebra. Today I am doing another decluttering video. I'm going to go through my palettes. So these are my eyeshadow palettes here. I'm going to, as usual, have a throwaway pile for anything that is off, a give to family and friends pile, and a keep pile. So let's get started. I have this Shop Miss A. I'm a beach palette. This is really pretty and good quality, so I'm going to keep that one. Then I have the BH Cosmetics Shan XO palette, the original one. So it has 9 eyeshadows and 9 lip colours. While I loved this when it first came out, I've since got other palettes that have similar colours that I just seem to reach for more. So I am going to pass that on. Then I have some Too Faced palettes. I have the Chocolate Bar palette, which you can see I got good use out of. This one, I've had it so long that I'm nervous that it might be off. So I feel like even though I loved it when I had it, I should give that one to the bin. Then I have the Too Faced Semi-Sweet Chocolate Bar palette. Now this one's fine. I've used this recently. And I love this palette, so I'm definitely going to keep that one. Same with the Chocolate Bonbons. It's broken a little bit, but it is still usable, so I am going to keep that one. I don't want to lift it up and show you because it is broken, but I do love this palette and I will keep that. And then I've got the Sweet Peach palette, which is one of my favourite palettes, and I do want to do a look with this, so I am definitely keeping that one too. Then I have the Focallure Sweet as Honey palette. I only recently got this and I love playing around with it, so that's a keep. Same with the Focallure Twilight palette. I've still got to play around with that one more, so definitely keeping that one. And same with the Focallure Ever Changing palette. That one's a gorgeous palette too, so keep those 3. Then I have my Lorac palettes. I've got the Lorac Pro, which is still one of my favourite palettes. It smells fine and I love this palette, especially if I'm doing someone else's makeup for like a wedding. This is just a perfect palette, so I'm going to keep that one. The Lorac Pro 2. I love, not as much as the first one I don't think, but I do love it, so I'm keeping that one. Then I have the Lorac Unzipped Gold. Now this one's broken and tattered. I wouldn't pass it on to anyone else and I don't use it, so I'm thinking I'm going to have to bin this one, sadly. I'm trying to be realistic about what I use, but it's hard because I spent money on these palettes. I love these palettes, but I don't want to keep something that could damage my skin or someone else's skin. So I have these Chi Chi palettes. I've got the Spices palette, which is another one of my favourite palettes. Definitely going to keep that one. I have the Classics, which I love. I'm going to pass on the Bases palette. While it's pretty, I only use it as like a topper for something else, so I'm going to pass that on. Then I've got some more of those Chi Chi palettes, which I'm just trying to grab here. I have the Smokies palette, which I don't use, so I'm going to pass that on. I have the Sunset palette, which I love, so I'm going to keep that one. The Rich Gems I love, so I'm going to keep that one. The Summer palette is another one that I really enjoy, so I'm going to keep that one. The Pretty palette I'm going to pass on, and the metallics I'm going to pass on. Then I have this palette that I made myself with Coastal Scents Hot Pots in a Z palette, and I really do like these colours and they're still good, so I'm going to keep that one. Then I have the Tarte Rainforest in the Dark palette. Now this is a great all-in-one palette. It's got a bronzer, a blush, a highlighter, and then your eyeshadows. So I'm going to keep this because it still smells and feels alright, and I do really enjoy that one. Then I've got the Rebel palette by BYS, which I only bought recently and I do love, and it's different to anything else I've got, so I'm going to keep that one. Then I've got the Carity Rosé All Day palette. Now honestly, I've heard good things about this palette, but I was a little bit disappointed. It's not as pigmented as I'd like. I'm going to keep it because there's a couple of shades that I want to play with, but I don't think I would order from Carity again. I have the Models Prefer Sunsetter palette, which I love. I'm going to keep that. That was limited edition, so I don't want to do a look with it, but I do want to keep it for my own personal use. And same with the Saltwater palette by Models Prefer. Then I have the Modern Renaissance palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills. Now this is honestly one of my top favourite palettes, that if I had to just use one palette every day, I think it would be this. So I'm definitely keeping that one. Then I have the Magic by Dubious Place palette, which I need to play with more and I need to do a look with, so I'm going to keep that one. Then I've got the Revolution Emily Edit The Wants palette, which is this palette here, which is very pretty, and I want to do a look with that one, so I'm going to keep that one. Then I have the Sleek little palettes. I've got the Garden of Eden, which I'm going to keep. I have the Oh So Special palette, which I'm going to pass on. And then I have the Ultra Mattes version 2, which I am going to keep. And then I have a BYS Bananarama palette, which I'm going to keep. Then I have the Stila Eyes of the Window palette in Mind, which I'm also going to keep. And the Stila Nouveau Natural Eyes palette, which I'm going to pass on. Then I have two more Stila palettes. I have the In the Light palette, which I loved at the time, and it's still a very pretty palette, but I'm going to pass it on. And the Stila In the Garden palette, which I'm going to keep. Then the two I have left are by Savoir Faire. I have this one here, which is a very pretty palette. I'm going to keep that one. And then I have the other one. It doesn't really have a name, so I can't tell you the name, but I'm going to keep that one too. So that is my eyeshadow palettes. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!